What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and yeah, it's about that time of the month. You guys already know. Grand Party, probably the most disliked game mode, I'd say, in the community overall. I absolutely despise it, but look, we gotta do it. And another thing to note, by the way, guys, for those of you who are listening right now very, very early, make sure to get 9 wins. That's what you're aiming for, because when you hit 9 wins, you're going to be receiving a Super Evolution Skull for the new Monkey D. Luffy Gear 5. So make sure to go ahead and do that. Even if you don't have Gear 5, pick up the skull, because you're going to need it in the future for whenever you pull the character. I highly advise doing that. Remember, the banner's going to be here for quite a long time. I believe part 1 of the Sugafest is literally here until October or something. Like, it's here for a very long time. So you got plenty of opportunities to potentially pull this character. But anyways, we're going to be using Gear 5 as our GP leader, and oh boy, this is a doozy, dude. This is legit one of the best GP bursts I've ever experienced. I will say, there is a slight issue, and it's the same issue that I had with Shank's Buggy using them in GP. As, you know, for those of you who don't know, Gear 5 Luffy's GP burst skill has an effect in it that allows you to remove half stats. And while that is a fantastic ability, the thing is it's kind of like the inverse of Roger, where Roger has to take damage, and then you have to output 60,000 damage in order to actually use the burst skill. But ideally, like, the best case scenario to use the effect is to use your burst skill after the opposing Roger has used their skill against you. However, when you actually use the burst skill of your Luffy after Roger, it does a bunch of damage to the opponent, which, like, basically almost fully charges Roger again, so he can, like, launch his burst again to half stat you. That's the only, like, little slight qualm that I have, and you guys will see it in match 2 as we actually go up against the Goldie Roger. This time on the first game, we're going up against Kid. I just wanted to get an easy win on the first game, but after I realized, like, wait, this is day 1, I should be going up against difficult matchups just to see, you know, what this character is capable of doing. And especially in the third match, man, that burst skill is so good. For those who don't know, once again, the burst skill of this character does like 2.4 times damage, I think, to all enemies that goes through defense. It is absurd. There is a game that comes up where I'm using a team that really shouldn't get a victory against Int Driven, and I just demolished them. It's crazy. You guys will see. This burst skill is something, man. I gotta say, Gear 5 Luffy in Grand Party is real. Be very, very careful going up against Gear 5 Luffy, because he seems to be, I think, maybe the new meta in Grand Party. He seems very strong, and the way that he works with his leader skill is that you want to make sure you're building teams around Sai. Well, you're using Gear 5, you're going to be having a Sai Free Spirit team. Obviously, I don't have Momonosuke. I'd love to test him out just to see what he's capable of doing in a Sai team, but it seems very good. But also building with Strength and Dex characters. So Dex, we already know, are very good in Grand Party because of their stalling tactics. So that in the Sai team, and then you can just run basically whatever you want as the last team. But I gotta say, pretty impressed so far. So here we go with the second match here of Grand Party day number 1, and we're using the exact same team for all 3 games, of course, all 3 matches, and we're up against Roger this time. So we've got a Quick team, a Sai Free Spirit team, and a Dex team. So I felt relatively confident going into this one. So the first matchup that we have here is going to be our Dex team versus Quick. You know, pretty straightforward, nothing really too much to talk about here. We use our Dex team to pretty good effect, and look, the enemy does have Roger, and as I said, you know, we want to make it in such a way where when the enemy has their burst skill, we use our burst skill to counteract the half stats that the opposing Roger will inflict on us. It is, as I said, a little bit annoying though that when you use the burst skill of Luffy, as I said, it does so much damage, and the fact that it does so much damage through defense is massive, because what you can do is if you have characters that are focused around HP cuts, you can have your character use the massive HP cuts, like even if it's character like Roger versus Whitebeard, even V1 Whitebeard for some reason, if you're using that. You know, characters like Jack, for example, like these characters that are so focused around doing HP cuts, and then when you use the burst skill after that, you're just going to kill everything. Like, it's so absurdly strong. And while I do think it is a good thing that we have something that can counteract Roger pretty comfortably, the thing that I'm concerned about is if everyone starts, you know, pivoting to G5 Luffy, Gear 5 Luffy, then that's going to be an issue to take on because of the amount of damage that can actually do. So that is a little concerning, and I think it is going to be just a thing moving forward that we just have to try and get around, you know, either being lucky and not finding these types of opponents, or trying to find little ways that you can squeak out victories, because, of course, as we know, the effect of Gear 5 Luffy's burst only is able to charge if they can deal 60,000 damage to the crew, and if you are enabling an effect where you can block them from doing damage, then they can't charge their burst skill, or it's very, very slow to do that. So that may be something to look out for. Maybe some type of way to have lots of defense, you know, but then again, if they just run health cutters, they can charge their skill. It's going to be interesting moving forward to see how the Gear 5 character release is going to change the meta of not only just generic Pirate Rumble, but also Grand Party. It's going to be fascinating. But as you see here, this team here, we use our Free Spirit team versus the opposing side team. It was a little bit of a sketchy matchup, but of course, Luffy Yamato come through pretty comfortably with a massive skill, enabling us to get lots of KOs very, very quickly. And then we make our way to the third match of the video, which is going to be versus Roger Whitebeard as a leader. Also another really scary character to deal with. You know, they've got a very, very good burst skill. But this is the one that I was talking about where we play the game 2. And I don't think I really should have won game 2. But the burst skill of Luffy is what really carried us through, which you guys are going to see. It's pretty crazy how good it is. So we're up versus Dex team here. If you guys would have seen the first game that we had in this video, I used this Free Spirit team versus a Dex team. And we actually lost. I was kind of surprised at that, but it's the fact that, you know, we're using Odin Toki. I'm not the biggest fan of Odin Toki because, like, if you get really lucky with the characters that they hit, it's fantastic. But also at the same time, the fact that this character doesn't have a lot of investments, because, you know, I've only ever pulled one version of this character, it's hard to get their stats to be quite high, but also the fact that you can get really bad RNG and their special doesn't do anything, and then you just end up getting pretty unlucky. And also going up against Don Chinjiao, he's such an annoying character, man. The special reverse and the special binding consistently. Yeah, but we somehow made our way through it. I was very pleased to see, very proud of this team being able to get the win versus that very pesky, annoying Dex team. We were able to get the job done. And then you guys will see that the next team we come up against is going to be Int Driven. And we end up deciding to use the Dex team because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't feel comfortable with my side team taking it on at this point. So I decided to leave the side team for last. But as I said, the GP burst skill of Luffy is something to behold. It is an incredibly powerful effect, as I believe, if I remember correctly with how I did it, I had Blackbeard on the team, and I think I waited until he used his health cut special, and then I went ahead and used the burst skill, and we're able to get the victory through that way, which is pretty awesome. So either way, the summary of this video is that don't sleep on Gear 5. You know, you see an opposing Gear 5 Luffy leader, be very afraid, because that burst skill is very, very strong, and in a lot of cases will just straight up destroy your team. So you've got to be very careful about that, because not only that, I believe it also provides some buffs to the crew as well. So not only does it do a lot of damage to you and can remove half stats, you know, it's got some pretty good stuff going on for the opposing team as well. So you got to be careful about it. But that's going to wrap it up for me for day 1. We'll go ahead and wait until day 2 and see how things go. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.
何度も言ってきた。うるせえな。